And hello once again, everybody. I'm meteorologist Sean Sublett from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. 4 o'clock on this Friday afternoon, we continue to follow some small showers and thunder showers across immediate central Virginia from the time being. We've had a little relatively heavier shower with some thunder and lightning move across western Chesterfield County and right across the heart of the city of Richmond. That one's weakening as it pushes across Hanover County and up toward the northern neck. And then as we look a little farther upstream, we do see a few more of these starting to fire up down toward Amelia County, returning to Brander Mill and Wood Lake, Mosley, those locations. But immediately upstream from there, there's not a lot going on, at least not just yet. So we look at the wider scope of the radar, not much from Farmville all the way down 360 to South Boston. And we do expect it to be fairly quiet for a little bit longer anyway. Having said that, we do want to remind you that our tornado watch is in effect until 10 o'clock for all of Richmond, all of central Virginia as well. This extends up toward most of the Middle Peninsula, down to Hampton Roads, all the way to the North Carolina state line, westward out towards Lynchburg and Charlottesville. Remember, our tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for the development of thunderstorms that could be tornadic, as well as have straight line wind damage or hail. So all those things are possible. And we don't think it's really the next hour or so, but as we get closer to 5:36 and into the early part of the evening, that's when the threat is really going to be at the highest, at least for immediate central Virginia. No active warnings to be found out there right now for our part of the Commonwealth, but traveling a little farther south just to kind of review where our weather is coming from. This is down in North Carolina. There's been a very intense thunderstorm down near Greensboro. They're still under a severe thunderstorm warning down there. In the Triad, they've got some hail and some damaging wind gusts there. It's a very similar situation down toward Raleigh and Durham, just on the western side of Wake County and close to Durham itself. Some large hail and some damaging wind gusts. So this is where our weather is going to be coming from over the next couple of hours or so, and that's why we have the tornado watch going until 10 o'clock tonight. It is going to be a while before things really begin to pick up. So let's go through these next 12 hours little by little in our future radar and cloud loop here. And remembering that the clouds here are gray and white, and the precipitation is in greens with the heavier stuff in the yellows and the reds. So even toward 5 o'clock, don't expect a lot out there. Then toward 5:36, 6:30, that's when the first kind of wave of thunderstorms goes through. There's certainly a bit of a break during the early part of the evening. Then a final wave comes through probably around 10, 11 o'clock. This one is probably not going to be as strong as what goes through here in the early evening. But once we get past 11:30 or 12, everything is done. So you don't have to worry about being woken up in the middle of the night by any kind of severe or damaging winds. Just a reminder, the difference between a watch and a warning. The tornado watch means basically be prepared that the conditions are favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadic thunderstorms over the coming few hours. When the warning is issued, that's when you're supposed to take action, get to a relatively safe place. Largely, that's just an interior room away from windows. Every once in a while, in a very long while, you hear something called a tornado emergency. These are exceedingly rare. This is when a very large tornado is heading toward a big metropolitan area, and this is not something that's very common in Virginia at all. So in the event a tornado warning is issued, don't wait for a formal invitation. You want to get to a permanent building if you're outside or driving around and the phone goes off. In a mobile home, if you can get to a sturdier building within a couple of minutes, do so. Otherwise, just get yourself in a position to minimize the impact of any flying debris. So otherwise, seek shelter in the lowest level of any dwelling that you're in, building or home. And key here is to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Most people aren't picked up by tornadoes like the Wizard of Oz. Most people are hurt by flying debris. And it's a lot harder for debris to go flying around through 3 walls versus 1 wall or a window, which is why we encourage you to stay away from windows when a tornado warning is issued. So recapping the Friday evening storm threat, damaging thunderstorms are likely generally between that 5 and 9 p.m. window. Scattered wind damage is expected. Again, not a massive tornado outbreak, but some scattered wind damage is to be expected in that time frame. So if we're here, let's talk a little bit about the weekend. A fundamental change in the weather pattern does come this weekend. It is going to be damp and it's going to be cold. Saturday is going to have several periods of rain. It'll start off in the low 60s, but not really warm up much at all. In fact, the temperatures will fall through the 50s. Mother's Day is not going to be raining all day, but it is going to be chilly. It is going to be cloudy. There'll be a few rounds of showers around, but it will be in the 50s pretty much all day long. Jacket weather returns for Mother's Day. And then we'll see temperatures still holding below normal for most of next week, 60s to low 70s. Kind of lost in all this. The reason why we're having these storms today and slowly through the weekend with the showers, a storm system that goes through stalls offshore the Outer Banks, and the winds around that are counterclockwise. So that's going to drive the water, if you will, back eastward. So it's going to be coastal flooding, tidal flooding at the beach, at the Outer Banks for at least a couple of days. In fact, tidal locations on the James and the York River will also have some coastal flooding. So if you have interest down there, being mindful of that. There's going to be an extended period of coastal flooding in that part of the Commonwealth. Let's return to the radar one more time before we take a break and zoom back out. Again, no big imminent threats for severe weather for the moment. Do watch another little thunderstorm that's kind of pushing across the Amelia-Chesterfield County state line on the way to Swift Creek Reservoir. But that's about it for the time being. This is where we're going to be looking in the coming few hours down here to Prince Edward County, down Route 15, ultimately down toward Bugs Island Lake for any threat of severe storms in the coming couple of hours. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us for the update, and also thank you for subscribing and supporting the Richmond Times-Dispatch. And we will probably be back in about an hour or so with an update, or a little bit earlier if conditions warrant.